What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 467, where it is my honor and privilege to welcome a guest back on the podcast, and that is Michigan catcher Noah Miller. Welcome back, man. Glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back on.
Yeah, no, I know it's been a little while. I know that you obviously played your full season last year, got to start a decent amount of games for Michigan, but I also know you just wrapped up the Cape Cod League. How's it been just kind of having a little bit more time to enjoy playing baseball instead of having like the college season in the Cape Cod?
Um, the Cape was absolutely beautiful, and I did not want to leave there. But it was time for me to come home, and then um, honestly, I'm already itching to get back to start playing. I feel like after my freshman year, not really playing, and then having to wait that whole summer, didn't get to play summer ball then, and then this past year, I got to play a decent amount. I was kind of platooning, and then played like 6 weeks in the Cape. So that was really fun to kind of get into that everyday grind and get into a schedule and be disciplined to a schedule and a routine. So yeah, I'm really excited for the fall to come around.
Did it feel a little bit more kind of like the minor league, major league kind of system at Cape Cod, basically playing every day, practicing, or did it not really feel too much like that?
It felt like that. It was kind of like my first taste of it and how that's going to be, and I really loved it. So that was really exciting. Um, Like for example, when we have a youth camp at like 10:30, I would work that, and then 10:30 to noon, and then I would go to the gym from like 12:15 to about 1:30, 1:45, and then get lunch at 2. Go back home, take a shower, change into my BP and IO clothes, which is just shorts and t-shirt, and then get to the field at about 3:15, 3:30, and then stretches at 4. Then I think BP started at 4:40, and then we had IO after that, and then our game usually started at 7, and we were done by say about 10. Then we had our post-game meal they'd give for us, and I'd get home at about 10:30, 10:45, and then kind of wind down. I was watching Love Island at that point most of the days after that, and then go to bed, and then do it all over again the next day.
I was just going to say, I know Love Island is a pretty popular show. I've never seen it, but it seems like a lot of
hmm
people have seen it. I've heard really good things about the show overall, but it's one of those things that really seems like it's just baseball. Like everything's kind of surrounded by baseball. Like everything's kind of the plan is around baseball, is around kind of that minor league system. But it's also probably something that really kind of either you figure out if you really enjoy it or if it's maybe not meant for you. And it seems like it's something that you kind of really enjoy and saying, hey, this is something I want to do in the future and hope to do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and just getting into that whole schedule. Like most of the weeks, we had 6 games a week. We or some weeks we had only five, and then we just had the All-Star break. But yeah, it was awesome because it was like every day I'm getting up, and like even on days I didn't play, like those were the days I lifted heavier, and like I would catch like more bullpens and get to work on things like that. And then like the days I did play, I had my routines and everything, and just really kind of I feel like it got me ready for both the minor league like lifestyle when that comes, and also gonna be very ready for this upcoming season. And it's taught me how to be like more intentional with my work and more disciplined with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know that you're just coming off of really the first season where you're able to play because after your first season, it was cut short due to injury. You played in one game, then you end up coming back for this past year. What was kind
Mhm.
of your mindset like going into kind of this season? Just like, did it take a long time to kind of adjust and get used to a little bit? Obviously, you had a little bit of experience with fall baseball your
Mhm.
freshman year, a game as well, but it's a little bit different when you're kind of going through a full season that you just did this past year.
Yeah, I kind of had to learn how to one balance school with the season because the year before it was kind of like I didn't have to put in all that extra work of actually playing. It was more of putting in the extra work to like get healthy and then just being at the games, and then like being at practices and then but yeah, so a lot of that work that I did with rehab that kind of just went into the extra work for the season. And I saw when I started putting more of an emphasis on all right, I'm going to control the things that I can control. I can control how much work I'm putting in. I can control how much intensity and effort I'm putting into my lifts. Um, I can control, like if my room's clean, I can control all that stuff. And when I started focusing on things like that, that's when I saw my performance on the field kind of take off, and I started to play better because I mean, I had control of the things I could control. Like I had less anxiety, less stress. I wasn't worrying about stuff. I was just worrying about playing baseball and having fun.
Yeah, just kind of getting back to the whole idea of just enjoying baseball because I'm sure when you're kind of
Hmm.
making that adjustment in college, it might get to a certain point where you're not necessarily enjoying it, or if you're struggling, like it's just difficult to kind of go through it. And it's kind of getting back to the whole idea of, hey, baseball is a kid's game. Let's have fun. Let's do stuff that we've done in the past that we've been successful for, even though that this level of college is that much more advanced than maybe what you've faced in the past, but it's just about kind of figuring out how you kind of balance the level, but also getting back to doing something you enjoy, especially coming off of an injury like you had.
100%. Yeah, it was just I had to learn. Like a lot of people like think they're going to come into college and have everything figured out, and I mean you're not going to because you haven't experienced it yet, and you don't know how people are going to react to getting punched in the mouth when they get here, or if things go wrong, how's that going to go, or if things go right, how's that going to go? And it kind of just it took me a minute, not to like not necessarily too long, but I just had to kind of fail through some things, whether that be on the field, like learning how to use my mind as a tool. I put in a ton of time and the mental side of it, and it's honestly helped me out with just like life, like having a plan, um, having it like have right now having a plan with my training, executing it to the best of my abilities, coming in every day, make sure I'm getting enough sleep, like just putting more intentional like work on my training and like what I'm trying to do. So that's all I really have to do when the time comes is just trust what I've done and have fun, and then should be good.
Yeah, and the mental side is something that really isn't talked too much about baseball, especially at like the college level, because before in high school, obviously being a D1 athlete yourself, you're one of the best players, so you're probably not going to go through maybe the really long stretches of struggling or maybe going 0 for 20, 0 for 30. Hopefully, obviously that never
Hmm.
happens, but it's just kind of again that whole different feel of it going through that, while at the same time you also get to experience kind of what it's like to be a D1 athlete and getting to travel outside of the country, getting to play teams like Virginia. How much fun was going through that when maybe you're still kind of trying to get used to college baseball, the grind? Did it make it a little bit easier getting to experience outside of the country and getting to kind of face some of the best teams? So when maybe later on in the year, maybe when you're not playing as good of a teams, or maybe when you're not playing as good of kind of a top 10 team, it gets a little bit easier at that point.
Yeah, I think our non-conference schedule was intentionally like that. One, to help us with RPI reasons, and two, to kind of battle test us. So when we get into the thick of the Big Ten season, that we're kind of battle tested and we've been playing better competition instead of just like some teams do, just loading up their non-conference or early in the season so they can get 15, 20 wins out of the way. Some teams do that, but we tend to shy away from that. But we want to play the best competition. One, because it's going to make us better, and two, because it obviously is going to help us out with the RPI if we do uh, win some of those games, and when we do win some of those games. But yeah, the travel part of it was really nice. Like I love traveling to like Puerto Rico the first weekend. That was awesome, and even over Thanksgiving we traveled to the DR. Um, and then we traveled to like Arlington after that, and then we spent a week in LA uh, on spring break, and then we got to travel to places like Oregon uh, and other places like that, and it was really nice.
Did you ever imagine being able to play baseball in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic? And what was it like kind of playing in those different countries, countries that are really invested in baseball? You see a lot of baseball players, especially in the MLB, that are from Puerto Rico, that are from the Dominican Republic. For some baseball players, that's kind of their out of the country. Like these are countries that are super invested. What was it like to play in those countries? Did you guys get to play against any teams or practice with any teams from any of those countries. It just had to be obviously a really cool experience, not only to be able to play baseball there, but also kind of enjoy a little bit of the nicer weather. Hopefully, you guys were able to enjoy that as well, and not necessarily focusing on baseball 100% of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Puerto Rico was hot. The Dominican was also very hot. In Puerto Rico, we just played against college teams there, which is a Puerto Rico Challenge. It was kind of like a tournament. We played 4 games and then left, but we played Virginia, Rice, then we played Stetson. We also played Villanova. So yeah, but then when we went to the Dominican, we actually got to play against like teams from the Dominican. We played, I think, and we did a split squad, so we like divided our team in half. One team played this team, the other team played this team. So everybody got to play. We brought out everybody. I think we played the Dominican Summer League teams from the Mets organization and the Brewers organization. And then we played like the Dominican funded like Army team, their Navy team, their Air Force team. Then we also played Licey, which is one of the Dominican Winter League teams, and I think Escogido. Yeah, and they were legit. But I mean, we held our own like with both of them. Obviously, not all of their starters played. It was more their reserve teams that played. But I mean, they were still almost every person on the team was playing affiliated ball or had at the time. Um, and they were like grown men. They were like 30, so it was pretty cool. The the Winter League teams, they kind of took it more light because they like I think it was like in the middle of their season, just for extra reps. You didn't see them hustle out as many ground balls or get dirty and things like that. But when we played like the Army and Navy team, and it was like their job to play, like they played with a ton of passion, a ton of like drive, and plus like we were from the States, so they're like, yeah, you're not gonna come to the Dominican and beat us. So yeah, and that was honestly like they kind of whooped us. But all the other teams, like we played the Mets and the Brewers, and that was their Dominican Summer League team. So we were playing like the most talented, like 16, 17 year olds in Dominican who were still really good. They were just weren't as polished as the older players on the other teams. But so it was a yeah, it was a lot of baseball. It was a lot of fun, and it was very hot.
Which one was more fun to you? Kind of going up against like the Army Navy teams that took it really serious, or kind of the guys that maybe not took it as serious but were still really, really talented?
Well, one of our it wasn't my team. It was the other team when they played Lise. They actually played O'Neal Cruz.
Oh, did they
He
really?
took he took some at bats in the game. Um, Obviously he was just taking it to get extra at bats. Like I think he hit a ground ball to second base and like jogged really slow to first. Um, but I mean he's O'Neal Cruz. He's not gonna get hurt in a basically an exhibition game,
Yeah.
and that I mean that's smart. But yeah, the other guys when we played like their Army and Navy team, I think they were like either former affiliated players or if they were kind of like indie ball players here, like it's not it's professional baseball, but it's not like the top like the Dominican Winter League. Yeah, it was their job and they like if they I think somebody said I think from like somebody from the team that was kind of escorting us around the Dominican, like if they win, they get more money. So they were like
Okay.
playing for money. Um, and you could tell because they were hustling everything out. They were like playing loose. They were playing happy, like playing to win, which, yeah, they're really talented. And I mean, I think their first guy like, was throwing like 95 plus, and he was like 5'10. So we're like, holy crap.
I was
He
just gonna
just,
say you probably don't see that very often
yeah,
in
no,
that level.
I think when we played Escogido, like almost every one of their pitchers except one lefty was like 95 plus, and the one lefty was like he was like 88 to 91 maybe, and he just did not throw fastballs ever. He would throw changeups, sliders, curveballs. He had a splitter too, I think. He was gross. He was probably their best pitcher. All the other guys just wanted to get up there and throw heat. But
As a hitter, would you rather face a guy that throws like 95 plus, like all he, or would you rather face a guy that's throwing all off season? He might throw a fastball every once in a while.
every single time I'm gonna want to face the guy who just tries to throw the ball by you. Because I mean, once you get to this level, like mostly everybody can hit a fastball if they know it's coming, or at least touch it. I mean, not everybody's gonna square up 98, but like if you know, especially like in the Big Ten, if you know. 92 is coming and it's straight and it's not like moving at all and it's just a fastball. Like most guys are gonna hit it and hit it pretty well. But it's funny because it seems like there's not that many guys like that in the Big Ten. It's either guys that are really hard or they're like shorter left-handed pitchers that throw changeups half the time and try to go in on you with a fastball and like crossfire. I know there was a couple guys there, Friday guys were like that, and they were pretty effective.
Yeah, and you say 92, and I hear 92, and I'm like, I don't even want to face that, but that's probably stuff that you face all the time. Like, it's probably like if you
hmm
get 92, like high 80s, like fastball that doesn't move, you'll probably look at that pitch and you're like, let's put it into the stands.
Yeah, it definitely velocity is definitely something that I've gotten better with. Like I came into college like, oh, 90's fast, and then I'm not gonna say 90's not fast. It's just once you get kind of used to the speed and you got your like rhythm and swing down and you're seeing the ball well and your vision is kind of there and your vision's locked in. It's honestly if you're on time and like not like rushing or lunging or trying to go meet the ball and you're just waiting for the ball to come to you and just trying to catch it with your barrel, like I'd say almost anybody can hit a fastball, especially on our team. Like we can demolish fastballs. We like that's our mantra. Like we want to hit fastballs hard. So we're ready for it. But when guys start throwing sinkers and the ball's moving, or they have a ton of ride on their ball and they throw it at the top of the zone, and it looks really good. Like that's when it starts to get harder to hit. But if a guy just has a straight fastball at 95, like a lot of our guys are going to be able to hit that pretty well.
Yeah, and obviously you guys probably do research. Obviously you guys have analytics. That's another thing that's becoming big part of baseball, just kind of understanding like what pitchers throw, like what percent, like where they throw it, like where
hmm
I'm good at, where they're good at, trying to figure that out. Obviously that's just a part of baseball, and I'm sure that's probably something that you've had to adapt since getting to Michigan.
Yeah, it's just kind of I'm not going into the equation blind anymore. I mean, in high school, stuff wasn't good enough to be like, oh, you have to you have to eliminate a pitch or you have to sit only one zone. Like you could kind of just see it and hit it. And yeah, like kind of getting to college, it I've not necessarily shifted my like focus to only be that, but it's like if the data and our coaches do a very, very good job of this. And especially Joe Donovan, who's my catching coach, he's one of the smartest baseball people I've ever met in my life. He's kind of was like teaching me how to read it, and create game plans around it. So like for example, if a guy's a sinker and he's a righty, he's going to want to come into me and just have me beat it into the ground. So I need to look for a pitch that starts over the middle of the plate. But also if he has a slider, kind of like knowing like, all right, if this pitch starts any farther than here, one, he's trying to get you to chase for a slider, or two, he's trying to run that fastball back and kind of just looking where the pitcher's strengths and my strengths or the pitcher's weaknesses and my strengths overlap and trying to create a plan from there. But yeah, and that's all stuff we like I talk that's all stuff I would like learn in the dugout when I wasn't playing. Like I would sit next to him and kind of learn about like, oh, how would you attack this pitcher, or as a catcher, like how would you attack the other team's opposing hitter? Those are the things like once I started focusing on those things in the dugout and kind of trying to get as much as I could out of every game, even if I wasn't playing, that's when I started getting better instead of just worrying like, why am I not playing? Like, well, I can't really change the fact right now that I'm not playing, um, right now at least, but let's see how I can get better still.
Exactly, and that's one of the things as a catcher is you're not going to play every single game. I'm sure that's
hmm
probably something that if you had the choice to, you might say like I would love to play every single game.
hmm
Maybe physically isn't possible, or maybe it's probably not obviously great for your body if you do that. But was it really hard to kind of like stay focused at first and kind of like buying into like the analytics and being ready, especially during a long season when you're not playing every single game, because you might be playing really well for a couple of games, get a break, and then you have to come back and you're going up against a Friday starter and you're going up against one of the best pitchers in the Big Ten. You have to be ready to play, and if it doesn't go well, then you might not play the next game or you might not play for a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, on the topic of like getting my body ready, that's something this summer since I've been back, that's really something I'm nailing home. Like I'm hitting all the like I'm doing hip strengthening like 3 times a week. Like I'm getting my knees back in really, really good shape. I'm doing like backward sled walks, all those things. It's almost like prehab. It's not like rehab, but it's like strengthening up all the little muscles in my knees and my hips and my glutes and all those muscles that are going to help me in ba with baseball. Because I feel like, um, I mean, that needs to be what my training is from now on. Instead of like, all right, like I don't have anything today. All right, I'm going to go get a really good upper body pump in. It needs to be all right. I'm going to kind of focus on that, and that's what I learned in the Cape. And like now, especially like to play every single day, like there's things you have to do. Like you have to take care of your body, you have to listen to it. You have to really focus on drinking enough water and like getting enough sleep and doing your mobility, like whether it's you wake up, you do your mobility routine. And then like throughout the day, like when you go to the gym, all right, you do your other like mobility things that you didn't get to, and then before you go to bed, making sure you don't go to bed stiff, especially after you just caught a game. Like just kind of doing things that are going to help you play every day. Um, that's what I learned a lot, and that's something I'm really like buying into, and it's kind of like a mindset shift because I feel like when I was in high school, I just wanted to get really, really strong. And I mean, I've done that. I've gotten a lot more physical since I've gotten in college. Not saying I'm strong enough because you never are, but just kind of focusing and kind of shifting my focus onto making sure I have healthy hips, making sure I have healthy knees, making sure I'm ready to play and give everything I got every single day versus catch one game. Say it's a Tuesday. Say last year I'd catch one game and I'd be sore on Friday still. Um, but that's something I really don't want to do this year. Like I want to be ready to catch every single day, even if I know that's not realistic. But like I want to be ready to catch all 56 games, and then hopefully all however many games that the Big Ten tournament, regionals, super regionals, and hopefully Omaha bring.
Exactly, and it seems like it's a really interesting kind of mindset shift for you because obviously in high school you want to get stronger, you want to be able to hit pretty well, you want to be able to hit for above average, but now you're focusing more on kind of the catcher side of things and making sure that you're healthy, making sure that you're able to play. Do you think that's what kind of a lot of catchers kind of go through in college and then kind of go into the MLB as well? Because you don't see a ton of like really great hitting catchers. You mostly see catchers that are kind of really great defensively that focus more on their body, that focuses more on framework, like all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm not saying that hitting isn't important. It obviously is really important. I'm sure that you probably put quite a bit of work into that. But like for a lot of people, if you're a really great catcher that can frame, that can block, you can really go far just in that in itself.
Yeah, 100%. Just catching is a defensive position. If like the reason a lot of guys stay in the league, like, is because they can really catch. Like if guys can hit that are catchers and they're not really like pretty elite behind the plate, they get moved to the outfield or they get moved to first base, and that's kind of just the nature of the position. And for me, I've always been a really good defensive catcher. Like obviously, I have to get better at some things, and like now being going into my junior year, like I need to um, be a little bit more accurate with my throws, learn how to carry the ball a little bit better out of multiple arm slots, and be more accurate so I can throw more guys out versus just, all right, I can throw the ball X miles an hour down to second and look really good in a workout. Like I need to work on being, and that's another like kind of shift with my training. It's more intentional. It's more game like really focusing on getting the ball out quick and getting in the air. Because I mean, even at 90%, my arm is plenty good enough. So it's kind of another mindset shift. But yeah, yeah. I mean, the hitting part, I train it just as much as my defense probably. Like I hit almost every day. I do something defensively almost every day, whether it's transfers or throwing to bags or receiving most of the time. But yeah, I think it's just a mindset shift now because the cave really showed me like this is what you need to do to play every single day. And obviously, I didn't play every single day, but every single day I was taking BP or taking IO in front of scouts, and like I want to be my best every single day and kind of showcase my abilities to them every single day. So, um, so yeah, like if I had to start and I was really sore the next day, I need to go. I need to get up and go to the gym, even though I probably got to bed at around noon or 1 o'clock. I need to get up. I need to eat a good breakfast. And those are kind of just things that I'm going to be able to carry into this year, especially with school. It's going to be a little bit harder because I have the extra factor. But yeah, it's just I learned a lot from that and the everyday day in, day out grind that I feel like is really going to help me going into next year.
Yeah, and I definitely do want to talk about the Cape, and we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more. But I want to kind of get into hitting a little bit because for you and for any college hitter, you got a little bit of one of the biggest things that is really kind of on someone's shoulders when they're hitting in college, and that is hitting the first ever collegiate home run. What was that like, especially hitting that kind of towards the later end on the year, and then you end up hitting your second one in the Big Ten tournament as well. Did it kind of feel like a little bit of a weight off your shoulders, or was it more just like I wasn't really thinking about that, and when it happened, it was just like cool that I finally hit one?
It was definitely a weight taken off my shoulders. I was trying not to worry about it because I mean, guys hit home runs, you got guys hitting 25 home runs in a year. And I mean, I was just trying to become better, a better hitter and learn how to square the ball up and be more consistent. Um, and like square the ball up more consistently and hit the ball hard. One thing our coach Joe Donovan always said was hit the ball hard, not far. And if you hit it hard, sometimes it goes really far. So, so yeah. And even like my first home run against Indiana, I think like I squared it up to right center field. But if you look at the video from the side, I didn't like 100% square it up and it still went out. Wind was probably blowing out a little bit, but yeah, it was just me focusing on staying through the middle because the one thing I'm really good at is hitting the ball the other way. I'm really good at staying on the ball and driving the ball to right center field, which I mean that helps in a lot of ways. I also kind of learned how to more of a game approach called split rhythm, where it's like, all right, I'm going to drive the fastball up the middle the other way, so and I'm going to stay stacked and ready to go in case I get a hanging slider. Then I can turn on it, kind of like what I did on my other at bat that I had a home run. Because for that at bat specifically, I was sitting on a slider just because we had something. And if you look at the side view, I actually moved up in the plate to catch the slider up. And that's something only Joe noticed because we talked about it. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of learning, just learning to be honest, like growing and learning and taking everything in every day, just hitting wise and not necessarily trying to make my swing like somebody else's, not trying to swing like Mike Trout, not trying to swing like Aaron Judge, not trying to swing like anybody, just trying to swing like me and swing the best I can. That's something I learned a lot, like even in the Cape, because I mean I struggled a lot at first. And I mean, I wasn't really controlling the things I could control. Like I wasn't like there. We have to like a catching rotation, and it's just how it is every team. It's not like I was getting screwed out of innings or anything. It's just how it is in the summer, especially with catching position. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna put the extra work in because I wasn't necessarily doing that. I'm gonna put that extra work in, figure out some things about my swing, get back to some things that I did in the college season that worked. I watched a lot of film and kind of like went back in my notebook and like, well, okay, what was I feeling? How did this go? Like things like that, and just kind of put in the work and really like put my head down and grinded. And I ended up figuring out like the last week and a half in the Cape, and it was really cool. Um, and just trying to make my swing the best it can be because I don't swing like Mitch Voigt or I don't swing like Greg Pace or any of the other guys on my team. I have a different body that moves in a different way, and just trying to learn and apply concepts to the way my swing is to make it the best it can be. And that I feel like that's something I really kind of like actually acknowledge now. Before it was like, oh, I want to swing like X, Y, and Z, or I want to hit the ball in the air, or I want to do this or that, and it's like you don't really don't have much control over what the ball does after you hit it, right? So if you just put a good swing on it and are in a good balanced position and on time, like good things are going to happen most of the time. And that's kind of just the mindset I kind of dove into, and it's a lot simpler and it gave me a lot more success.
Exactly, and also speaking of like you don't know exactly where the ball is going to go. You have several players that might have some of the worst luck possible. Like they might square up a ball and it
Hmm.
just goes to like a defender every single time, and they're like, "Well, you haven't gotten a hit in 4 or 5, 6 games, but you're
Hmm.
absolutely crushing the ball." Like I feel like Spencer Torkelson is an example of last year's before he obviously got hot, but like sometimes it's just the worst luck. But then even when you're struggling, you talked about in the Cape Cod League when you're struggling, kind of just fine tuning things, making small little tweaks, and kind of just figuring out what works for you because it is true. Like every single baseball player has a different body. Every single baseball player has a different swing, and there's probably a little bit of like wanting to kind of swing like those professional baseball players, but you kind of need to figure out what works for you. And it really seemed like it really figured out for you, especially towards the end of the Cape Cod, and you're going up against some of the best, if not the best players in the country. That's what the Cape Cod League is. Do you think that in itself just is a reason why, like maybe it took a little bit longer, or do you think that's like maybe pushing you a little bit harder to just continue to focus on those little things to play well against some of these pitchers?
Well, in terms of like the getting going thing, like I didn't like acknowledge that time, but I didn't play for a month. Like our last game against UCLA was like May 20 something, and then our first practice there was June 8th, so that was like over a month. Um, and sure, I probably could have gotten some more live ABs, which I got a couple. I don't know, maybe if I had to do it over again, I'd play in the Northwoods for a week and a half, and get like 20, 30 at bats to get going. But no, it took me a minute just to kind of get my timing back, and then. Also like kind of some of that mental stuff. Like it was like, all right, I'm 2 for 12 right now, and then it's okay, I'm 2 for 34 right now. Like I need to kind of figure some things out. Like yeah, like it's not just bad luck now. Like it's there's something wrong. So like I said, and that's kind of the part when I kind of dove into. Like I need to put some extra work in. I got on a blast motion sensor, kind of found some d data that was pretty glaring. I had some things that were pretty off, so I corrected those and put the work in to correct those, and then yeah, it was better. And yeah, even though I was struggling, like I was squaring up a lot of balls that were just right at people, which kind of sucks too. And then shout out to Gavin Gallagher. I had like a dribbler up the middle that he ran out at second, and I got a single for it. And then yeah, so then from there, I don't know, I went like 3 for my next 5 over the next 2 games with like 3 walks and no Ks, a couple RBIs. So yeah, kind of got me going there. It was funny because the running joke on our team was if you square the ball up, you're going to be out, but if you break your bat, you're going to get ahead every time. And that was kind of it was true like for the first week because everybody was kind of getting back into it, and it seemed like every time somebody broke their bat, they were safe or they got a hit. But every time they like squared it up perfect, it was right at the center fielder or right at the second baseman. But
Yeah, which is obviously like you said, funny, but also ironic
yeah,
as well. Like
it's
there's
just
probably
baseball.
yeah, it's just baseball, and it's
It's just
probably one of
baseball.
those things that like when you finally got that hit, like were you kind of like laughing at first a little bit, like you're like I can't believe like this is my first hit in a really long time when I've just been hitting the ball and barreling the ball a decent
Oh
amount
yeah.
before that.
Yeah, it was like night and day because in the Big Ten tournament, I felt like I could hit anything and hit it out or hit it well. And that kind of just stemmed past the Iowa series when I did really good. It was my confidence was there, and kind of just getting that confidence back because I felt that in my last game. Kind of knew it was my last game, and I mean, I felt prepared. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go out and have fun. I had like 2 sac flies to the wall. Um, the one like the guy had his hand on the wall, and the other one the guy like dove into the wall to catch it. So it's like, yeah, I almost went yard twice. And then my last at bat, I got into a good 2-0 count and hit a really really hard single through the hole. But um. But yeah, just like when I have the confidence that I'm the best player on the field, like I play like it and it shows, and I just want to be able, and that's kind of the like the mental training and like believing in myself and being aware of the language I'm telling myself and like getting the focus off of me and like, all right, I just struck out really bad last AB. All right, I'm gonna go be a catcher and I'm gonna make sure I know my pitcher knows what he's doing, he knows the game plan. I'm gonna check up on my infielders. How are they doing? Do they see anything on back picks? Like kind of getting outside of myself and being more about the team. It's what helps me kind of recenter. And that took me a minute to learn that because I was so focused on, oh, I'm not doing good. Like I need to what do I need to change? What do I need to do? And it's like you don't need to change anything. You're good enough. You're more than good enough. Um, Especially towards the end of the year. But yeah, I kind of just got back to that mindset, and I always say that confidence comes in preparation. Like if you are confident in your preparation, like you'll do good. And my preparation within the last 2 weeks of like the league, I was crushing my lifts. I was um, like being really disciplined, waking up, eating breakfast, getting a good lift in, hitting getting there early to hit, things like that. And I mean, I was confident in my preparation, and you're always preparing to succeed or preparing to fail. And I feel like before it wasn't as much as preparing to succeed, it was kind of like just preparing to survive. And I mean, it wasn't working, so I had to. prepare to succeed, and I did. And I credit that a lot to my coaches in Cape Cod and kind of just talking with me and creating a plan and what are you gonna do? Like what is our daily plan gonna be? Just trying to Taylor Sanagorski helped me out a ton. Brett Doe helped me out a ton, and even our head coach and pitching coach Dennis Cook. I would just pick their brains all the time about things, and just learn from them because our head coach Dennis Cook he pitched in the big leagues for like 15 years, and so did our pitching coach Jay Powell. And then our other assistants, Tanner Riley, I talked to him a lot and these are all of our coaches for the Anglers in Chatham. They were awesome. I kind of just trying to be a sponge and just soak up as much as I could and learn as much as I could and things like that. But yeah, they helped me out a ton, kind of creating plans, routines, and just like learning how to play every single day and get better every single day.
Yeah, and these are guys that have done it in the past. These are guys that are where you want to go. Like these are guys
Hmm.
that were in the minor leagues. These are guys that played Major League Baseball. You're also surrounded by guys all around the country that are the best of the best on their team in college and some of the best in the country. So I'm sure there's probably some collaboration, obviously with the coaches, but I'm sure there's probably some collaboration with your teammates, with the teams that you play. Like everyone's there for a reason, and I believe you get
Hmm.
invited to the Cape Cod League, so it's
Yeah.
like deserved to be there. Like there's that recognition that everyone that goes is going to be really good, and there's going to have that competition. And obviously, I'm sure everyone there is extremely competitive and don't like the idea of losing. I don't know anyone that
Yeah.
likes to lose, but like
Hmm.
there's also that collaborative effort between the coaches, between the players, and I'm sure that you probably have gotten to know a lot of these players pretty well, and hopefully maybe even get the opportunity to play them in college as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I almost every off day, me and Daniel Jackson would like go and hit or sometimes like I'd get there early and me and Jake Hanley from Indiana would hit or Kate Beatty from LSU. We'd get some extra hacks in and just things like that. Try to get better because I mean we all kind of went through struggles at some point because it was a Cape and it was kind of inevitable. Like you're gonna get our coach would always say you're gonna get your lunch money taken some days, but you gotta basically come back the next day ready to go. And I mean Jake went through it a little bit. I definitely went through it. Cade went through it at the start. Like we kind of just all we're there for each other, and it's really what helped us out to get better and kind of just because now, I mean, Jake's hitting the crap out of the ball. He's like top 15 in the Cape in OPS. Um, and yeah, so he's doing well. Cade's catching the ball really well. He's starting to swing it a little bit better too. He also like didn't play for a month because he kind of got buried on LSU's roster. He didn't get to catch that much, but I mean, he's going to be really, really good. So. So yeah, we kind of just all we're there for each other, helping each other out towards the same common goal. We're in the gym every day with each other. We just became really, really close and almost like brothers. And that was everybody. The pitchers were in the gym. Everybody was in the gym. Everybody was getting extra work in. Everybody was hanging out after the game when we were eating our post-game meals and things like that.
Was it weird a little bit at first going up against or being teammates with some of the guys that you competed in college with, or is it more of just like, hey, we're college baseball players, like I know you, you know me, it's just kind of part of how things are?
And speaking of, Take Care, he just walked in the locker room. He was also on my Chatham Anglers team.
Was he really?
So yeah, he just actually just walked in the locker room. So, um, but yeah, it was kind of cool because we came together really, really quick. It was kind of like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from the first day? And then it was like after that day, it was like everybody just became really qu close, got to know each other. I had to cart around Tate and Preston a lot, but other than that, it was fine, and I got to know everybody really, really well. And I mean, halfway through the season, we didn't even like, oh, you go to UCLA, you go to Northwestern. Like, it didn't even matter. Like, we were all Chatham Anglers, and we got really, really close. And some of the better like friendships I made on a baseball field were on that team.
Was it nice having a college teammate with you though at the Cape?
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Tate's awesome. Preston's awesome too.
Are either one of them pitchers or
Yeah,
are
they
they a
both were.
position? I was
They
just gonna
both were.
say
Yeah.
because they're both pitchers, you probably have worked with them quite a bit. I'm sure you probably worked with them quite a bit at the Cape as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was really close, and then even got to know him even better.
Which obviously is nice having that familiarity with them, especially kind of in a place that is a little bit unfamiliar, but it's also it's just baseball. at this point, right? So it's
Hmm.
probably
Yeah,
not really that much different.
yeah, 100%.
So obviously you're kind of in the off season. Fall baseball is coming up here in the next couple of months. What's just some of your goals that you have for next year? Obviously, I know that you've been putting in a ton of time. I know that you've been working. I know that you want to get your body right. I know that obviously you want to play more next year. You want to play every single day if you possibly could. And obviously, you probably have huge aspirations next year.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually just kind of sat down and talked about this with my guy Gregorio, who's he's kind of my mental training. He's technically like I don't know what you call it, a sports psychologist, but I'm really, really close with him too, and he's somebody who's helped me out a ton. We actually talked about this today. Kind of just he referenced Kobe Bryant's 81 point game. He's like he didn't know he was going to go out and score 81. He just kind of felt that day like he was ready. And once he saw a couple going, he's like, "Give me the ball." So that's kind of what he's like with. He's like, "Don't put any added pressure on yourself. Like, just you know what you need to do. Like we talk about daily commitments instead of like goals. Like daily commitments of all right, I'm gonna get my work in. I'm gonna have a great lift. Just focus on day to day, things like that, and doing everything you can day to day versus all right, I want to go out and I want to be first team all Big Ten. Like, all right, we need to unpack that. What are we going to do that? Like, what do you like statistically? What do you need to do? Health wise, what do you need to do? Like, logistically, what do we need to do? Kind of just unpacking things like that. So, um, like for example, one of my goals next year is to have like over 1,000 OPS. So we're like, all right, let's break that down. So what does that mean? So it's like, all right, well, your slugging percentage is probably going to have to be closer to 600, and your OBP is going to have to be 400. All right, so how are you going to do that? Slugging wise, all right, well, I'm going to have to square up more baseballs, hit for more extra base hits. Um, my average goes up, my slugging will go up, things like that. So, all right, so what practice are we going to go into that? Kind of just unpacking those goals. That's another thing I've learned from Gregorio versus like, all right, I want to be first team all Big Ten, and then season comes and goes, and you're not because you had like unintentional, not planned out training. Um, but yeah, kind of like daily commitments, like, and also mapping out my weeks. Like that's something I'm doing right now. I have my Google Calendar. I'll map out my week. This is what I want to get done. These are the days like I want to lift. These are the days, like for example, I had youth camp I had to run here, and then all right, I'm gonna get my training in after that. I'm gonna get my recovery in after that. Things like that, and just doing that every day, and being disciplined to it, whether I want to do it or not. And instead of being motivated, because I mean, motivation comes and goes. It's something that Francisco Lindor said. But if you're disciplined to things, like you'll do them every day. And kind of just being more disciplined with that, because I know if I do the things I need to do and I'm in the right headspace, I'm confident, I'm healthy, like I'm gonna play good. Like it's inevitable. And I know like obviously like it's not inevitable, like anything can happen, but like for me, if I am in the right headspace and I'm playing for my teammates and I'm taking every pitch of the game one by one and just taking basically every day one by one for the next calendar year, I'm going to be where I need or want to be next year, right? And kind of just embracing that instead of oh, I want to be drafted next year, I want to be in this round, like all right, I need to, and that's just like added pressure. Like you don't need to do anything. You just have to do what you know you need to do and do it every day to the best of your abilities, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think having obviously that mindset maybe allows you to like be mentally more locked in, maybe not mentally like as down like if you don't necessarily succeed everything there because if you're like, "Hey, I want to be first team Big 10," but you don't have these small little goals, then if you don't achieve that, it's going to be considered as a failure. And maybe like that's eventually the goal you want to get to, and maybe that's the biggest goal, but if you do X, Y, and Z and maybe not get to the finish line, maybe you're not first team Big Ten because obviously there's voting, obviously there's certain things that go into that. Then you can at least say that like, hey, I achieved these small little things over the season, and that will make it a little bit easier and kind of focus more on how can I achieve this bigger goal or even achieve these things that might not necessarily be in kind of your I don't want to say capability, but you're in control, and that's something that
Mm-hmm.
you talked about really early on. Is control what you can control. You can
Mm-hmm.
control how you have an approach. You can control your mindset. You can control how much time, how much effort, what you do, but you not necessarily can control every little thing. And I
Hmm.
think your
Yeah.
mindset and kind of the approach you've had is really great kind of switch and adjustment. I think it's unique and not something a lot of people really talk about or think about.
Yeah, it definitely like in terms of like the things I can control, like all right, my goals I'm gonna control. Things something that I can control is I'm gonna wake up when my alarm hits. I'm not gonna snooze it. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna eat breakfast, I'm gonna have 1,000 calories before X AM, right? Depending on when I'm waking up for the day. I'm gonna drink this much water, like things like small obtainable things that you can do, because all those small obtainable things build up. And then once it's time to look at your big goals, like you're a lot farther along than you would be if you just kind of went without a plan, without like things that you can execute and know you can execute every day that give you kind of that confidence in your preparation that's also going to give you confidence on the field.
Exactly, and confidence is something again we've talked about is the key to have confidence, the key to just get ready, the key to have like the goals is confidence, and definitely seems like you've been putting a lot of work. Definitely seems like you have a ton of confidence, and I really do hope you achieve some of the goals that you want to achieve. Obviously, I know you want to play a lot next year. I know you're putting a lot of effort into that. I know that your future goal is to again be drafted, play in the minor leagues, play in the MLB. And I think kind of just the overall way you're approaching things is kind of headed to that direction, which I think is really cool. And it's something that seems like you really kind of adapted in the Cape Cod League, and it seems like it's going to be really beneficial for you in the next couple of years at Michigan and
Yeah.
hopefully beyond.
Yeah, it was definitely like a learning experience. Like not necessarily learning curve, it's just I had to learn. Like I'd never been in oh, one, I'd never played summer ball in college before. Like I'd played for Midland in right before our freshman year in Ohio, like before I came to Michigan. But that wasn't even the same as like baseball because like we didn't really travel that much, or and most of our games are at home, and we were playing like all right competition where you weren't playing like the best of the best, like you were on the Cape, kind of just learning and just and approaching every day like um with like a honestly a growth mindset. How can I get better today? What can I do to get better? Um and even like during the games, like you said earlier, like I wasn't playing in like it was funny. My teammates would razz me, but I'd have my eye black on ready to go, even if I wasn't in the starting lineup. Like, because I know, like, especially towards the end of the year, if a lefty comes in, like, I'm up to hit. And like, so that was like, all right, I need to know all their lefties, like, how do they attack guys, like, just that preparation piece and being more prepared. Because, like I said, you either prepare to succeed or prepare to fail. So I just prepared to succeed a little bit more, and I did as a result of it. So just kind of learning that instead of like being on the bench and pouting that I wasn't playing or blaming somebody else. I kind of turned the finger towards me, and that's like something that I'm kind of proud of because like when I was in high school, if things weren't going good, I feel like I'd kind of look for kind of like a scapegoat or like why I wasn't doing good or oh it's this or it's my swing or I couldn't see or whatever it was. But now it's kind of like I'm taking accountability for my career and like as far as that goes is as far as I'm going to take myself. And so yeah, kind of just adapting that mentality and approach versus like just doing what I'm doing and expecting different results or expecting like to be like I said team All Big Ten or like an All American without changing some habits and kind of adapting. So yeah. That's where I've grown since I've come in as a freshman.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing about adversity and going through struggle is trying to learn those things, trying to grow not only as an individual but grow as a player. And it really seems like through the adversity, through the difficult times, you've kind of approached it and kind of learned it. And not only grown as a player overall, but grown as a person.
Yeah, 100%. It's helped me in a lot of ways. Just kind of like I mentioned, like just kind of that mindset shift and taking more accountability for things and like having a plan and executing it and just being a little bit more grown up, I guess.
Hey, you know what? It has to happen at some point,
It has to happen at some point, yeah.
especially if you're going to play in the minor leagues and the MLB,
Hmm.
you're not going to be able to kind of get down on yourself because if you do, if you
It's
struggle,
162 games.
exactly, if you do, if you struggle, everyone struggles in the MLB at some point.
Hmm.
That's why it's the best baseball players in the world play there.
Hmm.
It's going to happen, but it's all about how you have that approach. And I think the mindset shift that you've had is really going to work out really well for you. Obviously, this upcoming year the next couple of years at Michigan. I do wish you the best of luck. I also do hope you achieve your dreams of getting drafted, of playing in the minor leagues. I'm sure that's probably maybe in the back of your mind. I'm sure maybe in the next couple of years it's probably more on your forefront of your mind, hoping to do well there. But like I said, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you coming on. Really hope that you are able to achieve some of the dreams you want to achieve. And it's been a really fun discussion, and hopefully we can have another one in the future.
100%. Yeah, I love coming on here, so just let me know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, like I said, really appreciate you. Good luck next year. Good luck in the next couple of years, and yeah, I'm sure things are going to go really well for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And that is a wrap to episode number 467. Thank you again to Noah for joining, and tune in to the next episode.